Hey Maggie, it's Uncle Dave. Fairly quick video I'm going to throw at you today. And as I told you last week, I played at your stakes at the 20 max game just to get a feel for the opponents. And so I thought I would help you target two types of opponents and give you tips just against them. It'll help you sort of navigate the crazy world of super low stakes poker because you're going to have some wild people in there. So the first type of player is going to be loose and passive. So these guys have a VPIP over 40% and they're limping most of the time. They may even limp in big pairs like kings and aces because they think they get the most out of their value hands. And they will typically call down if they hit a pair or if they have a draw. When you're playing against loose and passive players, how do you beat them? If they ever start showing aggression, get the fuck out of the way. They're not bluffing. These players typically, if they're passive, they don't bluff. So again, you can fold top pair, you can fold sometimes two pair if the flush gets there and they suddenly start betting. You're going to value bet the shit out of them. That's the basic way that you're going to make most of your money. You're going to bet your strong hands very aggressively with big bets on many streets, and you're not going to slow down unless they start getting aggressive. So how you beat them is just playing better hands than them, and then when you hit your hands, you're going to get value from them. You're going to rarely bluff them. If they have a pair, it's hard to get them to fold. I'm not going to say you never bluff them, because if you're just against one opponent and you see a flop, you should usually still continuation bet, just because it's hard to hit a flop. Most of your opponents will just miss and fold. But yeah, rarely bluff these types of players. You're going to get all your value from these players by just having a better hand than them and betting and getting them to call. And then when continuation betting, you're going to bet small when you have nothing, and you're going to bet large when you have a good hand, because they tend to just either want to call or not want to call. They're not going to look necessarily at how big the bet is. So this is a good opportunity to be exploitative and adjust your bets against these players. I mean, you can do that against everyone, but certainly against these players. Now the second type of player, you have loose and aggressive. So still loose, still playing a lot of hands, but these guys are more betting and raising. So these guys are trying to win every pot by force. They just bet because they want to and they can. I think it's a cool thing to do. They tend to overplay medium strength hands, so maybe they have top pair and a weak kicker, middle pair, whatever, and they'll be betting and raising with it. They sometimes will bet with straight draws and flush draws and overcards. Like, they just like to bet. So that's sort of their Achilles heel, is they have just stupid aggression. How do you beat them? You're going to keep your range advantage, so you're going to play a little bit tighter against them. So you're going to just have better cards pre-flop. If you have a good but not great hand, you can turn into a calling station. They often can't stop themselves from betting when you check to them. So you can certainly, again, in situations when you have a decent hand, but you don't have a hand that is like the nuts or close to the nuts, you can let them basically bluff by checking to them. When you have a strong hand, you can use more check raises because they're going to bet so often. So if you flop two pair, if you flop a set, if you flop a monster hand, you can do a lot of check raising with these guys because they will bet a lot and they're not typically going to fold to your raises. And then next you're going to 3-bet them with only your strongest hands. So if they're raising, say, 30% of the time, hands like jacks, ace queen are so much better than their hands that you're going to be 3-betting them and try and get them just one-on-one and then take them down. And then the same as last time, you're just going to be making big bets with your value hands. So pretty short to the point. I'm hoping to play a couple hands here and find some loose passive and loose aggressive opponents and try and actually sort of put this in action. Okay, we got a quick hand here. We have a very loose passive player. Our hand is fairly weak. This is table 2. Table 2 is on the right, table 1 is on the left. So table 2, I'm just raising this player's very loose starting hand. I don't think I raised enough. I forgot this was a very loose table, but that's okay. We can try and flop a set here. On table 1, I posted, so I had to play with the king 4 suited. Everyone checked the flop. This guy's loose. They're both loose, fairly passive. I think if they had an ace, they'd bet, so I'm going to make a tiny bet on the turn. Just try and take it down. Only bet about a third pot. Table 2. On this river, it completes a flush, it completes a straight. I'm going to check, probably check fold here, depending on how big he bets. If he bets a tiny amount, I'm going to call. If he bets a larger amount, closer to $2, I'm going to fold. And then obviously the pair of 3s on table 2. I didn't hit a set, so I'm just going to fold. Okay, so we won with our king. We got a little bit of value with it. And our opponent did not bluff us on the river. So ace 9 suited. It's a good, decently strong hand. So far we have a very loose passive player. Another, well, he hasn't made a decision yet, so potentially a loose passive player. So we'll see, Afrobug looks like, not super loose, kind of in the middle. I think we can raise here just against one player that likes to see 65% of the flops. We're going to be ahead of, 65% of hands. Flop and a flush draw is pretty good because he is not super passive. We'll start with a half pot bet. We have a flush draw, 2 overcards. We did not improve on the turn, and he quickly called, so he's likely got a little piece of this board. That's okay, we can bet again. We still have lots of equity. I think here, 3, 4, 5, 6 on board. We didn't hit our flush, we didn't hit any overcards. I think we can just check fold here. And there you go, he had a smaller flush with a straight draw. So I mean, he's not going anywhere there. And we win if he doesn't river a 5. And just to be clear, when I say don't bluff against passive players, that doesn't mean don't semi-bluff. Like that there was absolutely not a bluff. When you have the nut flush draw with 2 overcards, you're basically value betting because your hand, like that ace 9, is going to be ahead of all sorts of hands in equity. It's going to have more equity than all sorts of hands. So table 2 here, early position, playing against a not super loose but somewhat loose player here who called us. Just going to fold this 9-10 offsuit against, not the worst player ever. Okay, here we got 2 callers. This guy's ridiculously loose, and this opponent. I think even though there's 2 opponents, it's a very, very dry board. So I'm going to fire once, just try and get them both to fold, and then I will give up if either of them calls. This only has to work about 1 in 3 times to be a winning player, or to be a winning play. We did get called. Doesn't mean we don't have the best hand, but this is a spot where I will probably check back the turn, and then if he bets the river, I will see how much he bets. We will open the 8-9 on table 1. If he bets a lot, like $3 or $2.50, I'm going to fold. If he does a stupid bet like $1, he bet exactly $1. I'm going to definitely call because he could just be bluffing with jack high. Here we flop bottom pair. We got led into by a loose passive player. I think this is close. I'm just going to fold. We could probably call once. I'm not really sure what his leading range is. We have jack queen here. Looks like we have a loose player limping, another loose player limping. I mean, we're ahead of most of these players' hands, so we can just bump it up, try and get against maybe one opponent. Okay, we got 1 fold so far. We got 2 folds. That's perfect. And we flop top pair. So this player, if he was aggressive, he's pretty aggressive, so I might consider checking to him, trying to get a check raise in. He's got $7 left. I think if he bets, we can probably get a good chunk of his money in. So we're going to do a big check raise to say $250. then we can just get it all in on the turn. This table here, we're going to fold. Table 1, sorry. And he calls, and then it's just, he's got $5 left. There's more than $5 in the pot. Easy, easy, get it all in here with top pair, good kicker. And we'll see, he's got king high. So that was amazing. On the turn, when we got our money in, he's got 2 overcards. Well, technically 1 overcard because we have we've got him crushed, but we probably had about 85%, 90% equity. Well, maybe not that high. At least 80% equity when we got our money in there, which is excellent. I'm going to raise a little bit bigger with the ace queen, just so that we're out of position here. Just trying to get against one opponent. This guy's only got $3 left, so there's almost no board that I would ever fold because the pot's $2, he's got $3 left. Is he aggressive? No, he's super passive, so we're gonna bet our own hand. Just need to bet small. We have top pair, good kicker. I mean, he min-raised, so he's likely wants to get his money in, so we will oblige him. I don't think he's ever folding here when he min-raises. He's got a weak ace, which is perfect. This ace deuce on the button, we're going to check stats. Very loose player, very loose player. I'm gonna raise small. Just we figure like they're going to call almost anything, but our ace high is probably the best hand pre-flop. Table 1 I'm talking about. They both check to us. I mean, Jack 8-4, it's coordinated. We don't have really any. We have a backdoor flush draw, but not too much. I think if they, so we just check there. If they both check again, we're definitely going to bet our flush draw, because now it's not a pure bluff. I mean, when this player leads out small, I don't mind raising, I don't mind calling. I think we're going to do a little raise here. Just a little one. Okay, and then this guy literally clicks it back with the tiniest re-raise. So we're never folding here, but we need to hit a club, basically. We're hoping to hit a club and get his whole stack. And he checked, so he's got a king all day long. And obviously bluffing opponents who don't fold is a bad strategy, so I would never consider bluffing that river. So we're just opening the king jack, again table 1. With 3 callers here, we are never betting this flop. Table 2, we got a pair, pocket 5s, we're going to raise. So when this guy leads in, it's the second time we've seen don't raise me lead in. Fold. Table 2, we're just against one opponent who's loose. Again, when I'm continuation betting and I don't have a good hand, I'm going to bet very small. If I had a flush or 2 pair or something here, I would bet large. So I'm just going to bet and just give up here. This guy's loose, he's relatively passive. There's not much value in trying to bluff these guys. Again, we still don't have a hand worth anything, so we will just fold. Got another strong hand with the ace king. Raise it up. Hopefully get called by Mr. Anderson, who's actually a tight player. He does call. We missed the flop. We've got 2 overcards. And this is, I would consider this like a reg player. So in position, when we raise for the flop, we're going to make 1 continuation bet. Depending on the turn, we might bet again. Because being a slightly tighter player, you can sometimes get these players to fold. So against sort of tight looking statistics like this, they are the only kind of players you can really bluff. Here we've got the ace queen suited in the big blind, so we're certainly going to be 3-betting this player. And we're going to bet pretty big because we're out of position. So we'll just go like 5 times his raise. We don't mind if he folds. He's usually going to call. And again, excuse me, we have nothing, but we have 2 overcards. We have a backdoor flush draw, we have a backdoor straight draw. So I don't mind continuation betting once here. Trying to fold out if he's got like king, queen, or some other small thing. We did turn more equity. We actually turned a straight draw, so I'm going to bet one more time here. Again, another small bet. Hopefully trying to bink a king on the river, or sorry, a 10 on the river. When he calls, this is an interesting thing. If he has a jack here, do you think he would fold to a big bet? I don't know. Stats are not terrible. I think it's worth bluffing here. So we're going to bet close to full pot. It only has to work less than half the time. And he seems like a player that could fold a jack. He definitely would fold a 7. And if he has like 8, 9, there's some draws on the board that he would, but this is risky. I'm basically trying to get an opponent to fold a jack. And it actually worked out quite well because he had top pair and he thought about it for a while. So he definitely would have folded a jack, which is what I sort of ranged him on. I didn't certainly put him on king high on the flop. So again, that's a pretty good lesson, even against these sort of tighter-ish looking players. Like bluffing is usually going to be negative EV, like pure bluffing. And again, if the turn didn't give me a straight draw, I likely would have given up there. But oftentimes if you are betting on the flop just as a continuation bet, and then the turn gives you equity, well, that's a really good spot, because then it's not like a pure bluff. Then it becomes a semi-bluff. So, okay, so this is interesting. A weak player has limped in, but then this player, who's actually fairly tight and doesn't raise that much, raised the limper. So even though we're on the button and we have an okay hand, it's just an easy fold there against, again, an opponent who only raises 9% of the time. And they raised a player who was in early position. That's a pretty easy fold there. Okay, we have a suited connector. I would raise if the first person fold, but again, this player is tight. He only raises 14% of his hands, so that's a fold there. So I'm playing a bit looser than I would recommend for you. I'm just trying to get a few more hands in so it's not boring. So I did open the ace-4 suited under the gun, but this is a good opportunity. We got 3-bet by a very tight player, so this is a snap a doodle fold, typically, but I will do that. And again, this player doesn't raise that much, but they're on the button, everyone folded to him. Whoops, that's too big. Why is that so big? Hang on. 30? Why is this thing going to $2? Oh, this guy 3-bet to $1. Okay, in this case it's a fold. I didn't notice that this player had 3-bet. That's why I was confused. But again, when you're 3-betting, when a player who raises 10% is 3-betting, they're much more on the value side and much lower on the bluff side. So you need to be very tight against people who 3-bet at these stakes. So King Jack, it's a decent hand. This guy is loose and aggressive. I don't think it's a good enough hand to 3-bet certainly, but it's too strong to fold. We have one very loose whale of a player in here calling. I think this is a good candidate to check raise with Mr. Fizzle, the aggressive player. It is only top pair, so it's not super exciting. But I think it's going to be ahead of his range likely. Okay, we've got both players to call. It's a really bad turn card for us. I think we're going to check and see what they do. Okay, everyone check, no problem. And again, it's not a good river card for us because there's some straights that completed. Anyone with 10 jack, ace jack, etc. sort of gets there. So we're going to check again. And this player bet decently large, 250 into a bigger pot, and then got raised. So obviously this is a fold. This player likely has minimum 2 pair. They might have even rivered the nuts. We'll just get out of the way here. Straight there on the river. So yes, I think that was very well played by us. I mean, we didn't have the best hand on the flop because this player had queens, but we were able to get all the way to the river with what started off as top pair. We'll just complete here, getting like 1,000,000 to 1, hoping that this tilty frizzle doesn't raise, which they do. That's one thing that you can look at a little bit if someone just loses a pot and then they raise. They're often going to be extra aggressive for the next couple hands. Open these fours here. Get one caller, loose passive. Very uncoordinated board. It's rainbow, it's 10 high, standard continuation bet. Only has to work 1 in 3 times. Got called. Again, we don't make a lot of money off bluffing fish. So once he calls, he likes the flop, and we'll see how much he bets in the river. Oh, that's such a tiny bet. I mean, I don't think he's ever bluffing here, but like if you look at the flop, he called 3-4, 3-5. We beat, but we have 2 4s. I'll just let it go. Okay, so we have a very mediocre hand and a fairly tight player who raised from early position, so it's an easy fold here. This queen 9, we had a weak player call, and then this player. I'm going to play it just to get more hands in. I would fold it. I'd recommend you fold it. But we are in absolute position, and then with a tiny 3-bet win over folding, calling 60 cents to win almost $3. He was trying to flop some magical hand, which we certainly did not do. We got no hearts, no straight draws, no nothing. So again, that would be a fold pre-flop, but I thought I might be able to get in some flop action for you. Okay, this is a hand I wouldn't play in this super early position like this. Again, I'm just trying to get a little bit more action, but a suited ace I would raise from the button, the cutoff, the hijack probably. Okay, so we got 3-bet by a fairly aggressive but not super loose player. We got 3-bet 4 times, which is a large 3-bet. This is going to be a fold here. I mean, the only exception would be if both of these players also called, then we'd just be getting an insane price. But against a relatively not maniac player who goes 4x, this is a fold. So I want to talk about like a queen 10 suited hand specifically. Hands like 9-10 suited, 8-7 suited, even queen 10 suited, queen jack suited, jack 9 suited. These hands make a lot of straights and flushes, so they're okay going against multiple opponents. So in this situation, I would not often re-raise this hand. Just calling is totally fine because you sort of like the idea of getting against a bunch of opponents. Whoops, we're going to check the ace 5. I didn't even see the action. Flop bottom pair, see what they do, but probably just going to check fold here. And on table 1 against a small bet and a call, we have 2 overs, a backdoor flush draw, very coordinated board. We're just going to get out of the way. And against a fairly small bet, again, we're just going to fold. Okay, we're going to make a wild play here. This guy's playing 82% of his hands. We're going to ISO a suited jack just to try and get one-on-one against him. Unsuccessfully. We flopped a flush draw, which is really good for how shitty our hand is. Against 2 opponents with a flush draw, 1 overcard, we're going to bet about half pot. I got called in 2 spots. Normally I would never bet again. That's a beautiful card to bluff at, just because it's a scary card for them. So we're going to bet about half pot again. And we're not fully bluffing because we have a flush draw. And obviously that ace, unless they have an ace, is super scary. Another spot I don't recommend, I'm going to limp over limp on the button with a offsuit 3-gapper, just trying to see a few more flops in this session. When it goes 40 cents, 4x raise, and then a very large re-raise, obviously we're folding. So I don't know why I even showed you that hand. Well, we'll watch this. There's a raise and a 3-bet. This guy donked the flop, and this guy raised. He's representing an overpair. This Clavis is saying I've got like queens or something. Let's see what he actually has. He's got queens. Hilarious. And this guy actually made a good fold with top pair. Huh, impressive. But again, you can see that when people 3-bet in these games, they're not doing it as bluffs almost ever. So you can just respect 3-bets. So if you have a hand like king, jack, king, queen, whatever, and you get 3-bet, you can usually fold. Okay, we raised in position. We flopped a gut shot, so a king gives us a straight. Standard play, continuation bet, about half pot. And hopefully take it down. When he calls, we're essentially giving up, especially when he calls and then donks on the turn. There's nothing you can really do there. Just gotta wait for the hands. Okay, I'll just stay here. We've got a decent hand with the ace-jack. We've got a loose-ish player, not terribly loose. Limping on. I'm gonna try and 6x. I think I need to start raising larger dollar amounts because this just keeps happening where everyone calls the raises. So I'll make some adjustments to my raising size. Now we have a 3-bet after 3 callers here. So we got action here. So table 1 under the gun, raising the ace-jack. So this player is very snug. They're 26-18, so this is a very easy fold. It sounds sad because, oh, it's too big face cards, whatever, but this guy's never bluffing. He has us crushed, so it's an easy fold there. And I'll look at his hand after so we can compare. Okay, this player's super loose. We're going to bet large. We have top pair, top kicker. And we got min raised. I mean, do we stack off against this guy? I think we'll call. We'll see the turn. He's not super aggressive, so I'm worried about him checking back this turn, but that's okay. He looks pretty happy to be continuing betting. And that's a bad river for us. I think we're probably going to call unless it's a big bet. But so he slow played aces, which is fine. I just want to see what. Oh, I can't see the last hand. Shoot. Maybe I can because they showed down. Hang on. Hands. I folded ace jack. Okay, well. Which guy did the 3-betting? He's gone now. They didn't have quite as strong hands as I expected. My ace jack was actually head. So ignore everything I teach you about poker. But typically, when there's a raise and a big 3-bet, they have a stronger hand than ace 6 suited. But obviously, you know, most of the time they should have a hand like ace jack beat when there's that much action. Alright, we've got, this is interesting actually. We got a free flop, we flop middle pair, the entire table checked, and now the turn pairs the top pair, so our 10 is likely going to be the best hand. We got 2 callers. I don't think there's much value in betting. We're going to be good a lot of the time, but we ended up being against a slightly better kicker. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to just bet big, almost full pot. And we're going to, not a great turn card. We're going to bet again. What did this guy have last time he raised us? He had an overpair, so we're going to bet again. I'm going to fold if he raises. I think we just shove here. I mean, there's 1-4 to a straight here, but we get value from a 9, we get value from a 10, good value from pocket pairs that don't want to fold, and this guy's playing a 82-5, so there's more than enough hands that he might want to call us with on the river. I mean, I wouldn't mind check calling that river either. Oh crap, I thought it was paused. Okay, here we have a weak ace. We're against one weak player that limped. We're just trying to get one-on-one against them, if possible. A super loose player is called, and this guy would probably call too, so that's not going to work. But that was my goal with this hand. On table 2, table 1, same idea. We've got a very loose. Let's go to 80 this time, see if that helps. So we got heads up on table 2. Standard play, continuation bet. He calls quickly. I mean, I think some of these players, you just gotta like really say, I've got the best hand here. So I'm gonna double barrel. I'm gonna bet again here, which I don't recommend that often because these players don't fold. Maybe he's got 10 jack. If he's got 10 jack, we win. We can do a tiny bet and win against 10 jack. And there you go, he folded for a tiny bet. Alright, so this is interesting. The guy donked the turn after we bet the flop. I think that's usually a sign of weakness, and we have a spade draw here. If we river a spade, we'll have a decent hand. Do we bluff this river? I don't know. What are the chances he folds something? What are the chances he folds something? Probably pretty low. We're ahead of missed straight draws. He might have rivered a 9 if he's got a straight draw. Alright. I think he folds that maybe to a big bet on the river. I don't know. That's a close one. Super fishy player went to 66 with a bunch of callers. We're just going to go like 7-way on this flop. Wow, 2 players folded. That's crazy. This is not a good flop for our hand, and it's a terrible hand to ever bluff, and we will fold. I was not paying much attention to that hand because I was trying to talk about this hand. Alright, I don't know how successful this was. I probably shouldn't do table because I can't really say enough about the hands, unfortunately, but I'll give it a crack again sometime because I really want to focus on exploiting, you know, loose passive player exploiting another loose passive player exploiting another loose passive player, which is, you know, sort of not about bluffing them. It's more about you know, betting your strong hands, which I missed all the flops, so I didn't really get many opportunities to do that, and I bluffed too much because I'm terrible at 20 max, it seems. Alright, dude. Peace be with you.